Hi, hello. My name is Raúl. Some people know me as Rulo. So I'm going to explain you what happened at the end of last year. At the end of last year, around September, I was investing my engineering time watching random videos on YouTube, as always. So I found out a really interesting video about a guy who was able to train neural networks to complete the first level of Super Mario World, that is one of my favorite games, without, and the networks didn't know anything about the game before. I found that actually quite astonishing, and as I needed to write a thesis on that time, I decided to jump in and learn how to do that stuff. So instead of using the Super Mario World as I wanted, I choose a more simpler game that is called Othello, that is a board game, for me to learn how to train the networks to solve the stuff. So I jumped into this article that it was the algorithm that it was used to solve this topic. And it's called NEAT, and in the end I realized that you couldn't understand anything about the text. And then I went online, and I also found out really frustrated because everything that I found about tutorials about what is a neural networks, they were only tutorials about how to use libraries to build them, but I didn't know what a neural network was. So I decided to scrap everything about it and just started doing everything from the beginning, from the scratch. So in the end, I understood what is a neural network. A neural network, imagine that it's like bubbles connected, and these bubbles contain math and a lot of like mathematical operations, that is just multiplications, additions, and then more formulas to take out numbers, and those numbers go through all the system and do all the things all over and over again, and in the end we can get a result. So a neural networks could be organized in really nice structures in lines, or they could be actually really chaotic. That is something that I learned. It doesn't need to be like in lines. So after understanding what a neural network was, I was able to understand what the whole document was all about. And I'm going to explain you right now what it's this algorithm that is, which are the steps that this algorithm does to train neural networks to solve one problem. So the first point is to make the simplest network model that could interact with your problem. So I'm going to take as an example this neural network here. It will be our model. And the second point is to create random population. So we just create a number, and we just create a lot of neural networks about it with different values. So each one of them will give a different result of the problem. And then we're going to put them to compete. In my case, I just put them to compete with a really stupid robot for them to pick. He was picking random moves on the game, and all of them had the chance to play against him. And then take the best. We choose the networks that are the best performing, and we kill the other ones because we don't need them. So after that, we do crossover. So we need to make the population again grow. So we took two neural networks and we cross them, and we have a new neural network, guys. And then with that, we're able to fill again whole population. So with that, we go to the next step, that is mutation. And what happened here is we go through all the networks, but our champion, because our champion is the best and doesn't need to change. And we go one-on-one and try to change them. It's just a random process, and if it actually happens, maybe some networks will be added some nodes, or maybe some connections. So they are incorporated in the system, and then we do speciate. That is, we the networks will be changing with the time, and they will be more complex and more complex and more complex and more complex. And in the end, there will be like something like that. And they will be really unfair in the beginning for the bigger networks to compete against the smaller ones, because if I just knew the system, I'm not sure how to solve the problem. So with that, the algorithm says that we need to separate the networks that are different from the other ones, and then we put them only to compete again. So we restart the process again, we put the networks to compete against the bot, and we have now 3 champions, each one per each species, and then we do all the process again. We kill the other ones that we don't need, and then we took the species with the best, we like order them, and the best ones get more space to grow, and the ones that perform the least, get the less points, they start reducing itself. So with that, I was able to build my own system to then actually learn how to play the game. And with that, I was actually really happy. I need to say that I didn't know anything about this, and it was really good for me to do some experimentation, to learn about doing it, to learn that neural network doesn't bite and doesn't kill. And that's everything from my side. Thank you very much.